No need to discuss it.
Oh,
and today
hey.
I want to talk. Hello, friends. This is Utz. No need to discuss it. And today I want to talk about gen times in DBD. Now, I've been playing Dead by Daylight since late 2017, and in all of these years, believe me, there's always been people that complain about gens going too fast. No matter the patch, no matter the update,
Hi, it's also
always,
me.
always.
Hi.
I have agreed with it more or less, depending on whatever update we were on and depending what perks were available. The game used to be very broken on some instances. That's completely true. However, one thing that was also always true is that even if survivors could do gens very, very fast, they had to put their cards on the table and they had to give something up. Yes, survivors could do gens in 25 seconds into a match, and
I see, like, somebody gave me this take. Somebody gave me this take on Twitter too. Somebody said, I love Otz to death, but sometimes, and he's not done yet. So, but sometimes he's like, oh, it's okay if, like, you know, like you have a really OP ability if you give something up. And I think that's fine sometimes. Like Autodidact at 5 stacks, it heals people like instantly, right? But like you work the whole matchup to get that, and it's not like healing isn't the point of the game. Healing helps you win the game, but healing isn't the point of the game. Doing the gens in like 17 seconds, even if you have to devote a whole build to it, is the objective, right? Like that is the objective. That is the end goal, right? You know, like that is how you get the dub. That is how you win. that is how you get the W. So like, I don't know, like that. I don't know about that, right? Because like, it's different if you're doing like a side thing really fast. Like if you can stack like, you know, like Counterforce makes you do totems faster, or like Pharmacy makes you open chests quicker. Like, you know, like doing those faster and with incredible efficiency doesn't win the game, but like stacking gen perks does. So I think it's a little different.
Still lose because they brought too many toolboxes. They grouped up too much. Now they don't have medkits. Maybe they don't have perks to counter slugging. Maybe they allow someone to get tunneled and killed too early into the game. Maybe they don't have endgame perks. All of those things that they did to do gens fast had a price, a trade-off. And it was the same if they brought a lot of medkits. If they brought a lot of medkits, then they didn't do gens very fast. You could bring Franklins, you could switch killer, you could change your add-ons, you could adapt to these things because there were clues that told you what was going to happen.
Well, DB Masters are so
but
pretty, aren't they?
Increasingly,
like they're ugly, but they're so stylistic.
Less and less the case. There are very huge discrepancies in the time it takes to do things in Dead by Daylight right now, and there are no clues sometimes for killer to have an idea of how long things will take. And if you have no idea how long something will take, and that thing can take a little or a lot, it's very difficult for you to make meaningful decisions. You cannot improvise and have a plan, a coherent plan of I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, if gens, healing, and everything else is completely unpredictable.
This is something I have felt a lot, because I'm more of a reactive killer, right? Like I don't bring 3 gen perks into a game. The most you'll see me with is 2 unless it's a build request. Because I'm a very reactionary killer. If you're gonna sweat, I'll sweat back. I will immediately break out the tunneling and camping. Like if you guys are gonna plow through gens at Mach speed. I feel like when you introduce too much of like gen speed versus gen slowdown, even that doesn't help, right? Like at a certain point, I can't flip the switch and win a game if you guys are playing sweaty. Like you could have, like if the whole team, or even like 2 or 3 people are doing like, you know, toolbox, hyper focus, stakeout. Like it doesn't matter how much I try to flip the switch, I'm still gonna lose, right? Because like I just didn't bring the right person to the match, which it sucks, and it's a sucky feeling. And the same thing on the survivor side, like that Wraith was a perfect example. That Wraith we had that brought 3 slowdown and bamboozle, right? I did not have a super strong build equipped. So I just kind of had to like, you know, pray that we looped long enough to do the gens, but it didn't even matter because when we did the gens, they were just like constantly being depleted. That center gen got to like 90% 3 times. That center gen in the middle of the Yamaoka map got to 90% 3 times. We redid that gen 3 times and still didn't get that motherfucker done. Still didn't get it done. And there is no flip the switch there. There is no, I'm going to play harder, I'm going to play sweatier, especially in Survivor when I was playing solo queue. Like, I can't even communicate with my teammates to turn into sweat mode. Like there is no, I'm going to sweat harder, flip the dime, and actually win this. There's no adjustments there, which is like, that's one of the things that, like, that's like the main reason the mid chapter happened was like, perks should not be winning the games for people. But over time, people have just kind of like switched which ones they're doing it with, and not necessarily that it went away. I will definitely still take the wonderful changes that we got, like Rune Undying, Pop, Dead Hard, like all those things that just kind of like autopiloted games to victory. I will still say I am glad they're not as strong as they used to be. But at the same time, it's like we've just moved on to different stuff. Like we've just moved on to different perks. Like the same issue exists now. It's just, you know, it goes by a different name, has a different alias. Also, hi, Umbry. How's it going?
And to illustrate my point, I'm going to show you some numbers right here that I've mostly compiled myself.
You're covering it!
First, we start with generators. We know that the base kit is 90 seconds. A few hit skill checks makes that a bit shorter. A really good set of perks can make it that.
Before he gets into this, this is why I think that diminishing returns, that like how you do when you stack on a gen, would be a perfect idea, because all four of these diminishing returns. Like if you like these all of these things are things that you can speed up, right, by stacking multiple perks. And if speeding up actions is the problem, use the penalty system you have in place, the diminishing return systems you already have in place for teaming up on gens. Do that to all of these. And you, like, this is like we keep looking this dead in the eye and going, this is the main problem with DBD, is that when perks start stacking, we start having issues. We keep saying that, and we keep saying that year after year, as if you stack these perks, it's a problem. Ruin is kind of strong on its own, but with Undying, it's right. Like we keep saying this over and over and over, and we are not doing anything about it, right? Like it's like we keep saying like, oh, when perks stack together, it's a problem, but we're not giving diminishing returns. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Shorter with no items, very good toolboxes can shave off 30 seconds easily. And the most busted combinations of perks and toolboxes can make a gen twice as fast. Admittedly, some of these cases are a bit extreme, so I'm gonna color those in a different way. I'm gonna blur them out. We're not gonna consider that, but a gen realistically can easily take from 100 seconds to 60 seconds. 40-second variant. Which one will you get? You don't know as a killer. We then move on to healing. Healing takes 16 seconds, takes 2 people to heal, so 32 seconds base, can be a bit longer, can definitely be a lot shorter with wounds and medkits. So a survivor can heal themselves in 9 seconds or 32 seconds. And you don't know which one it is. If they have a medkit, maybe you can guess it's gonna be 9. If they don't have a medkit, it could still be 22. Circle of healing, which you cannot predict until you hear it, and then you have to go search for it. When it comes to recovery, people dying on the ground, they can be on the ground.
One thing I want to point out here that I think is very important, look at how much green is over here. So like I just said, everything in the green here are ways you can make things go faster, and red is the way you can reduce speeds. Look at how much green is down there. Look at how much green is over there. Look at how many things you can do to speed up all these actions, and you can put them all on at the same time. There is a lot of things you can do to speed up basically everything in this game, and you can stack them all together with no diminishing returns whatsoever. You can just go peepo speed on any of these things if you want. The problem with doing it on gens is, like I said at the beginning of this, it wins matches. Healing helps you win matches, recovering quicker helps you win matches, but there's kind of like, you know, as it goes down, what's the force set? I don't know. He's over it. Otz, please move. I can't see the last one. It looks like hook saving. It looks like, because I see kinship and reassurance down here. It looks like hook saving, but Ox. He's a bull now. Otz is blocking it
for 32 seconds and then be picked up by Soul Guard or a teammate, or they could pick themselves up in 24 seconds with Unbreakable, which again, you don't know if it's there until you get hit by it. If they have Exponential, which again, you cannot see in the lobby, you cannot predict until it just happens, and then again, you don't even know if it's there, they can also pick themselves up in only 16 seconds, or even faster with some other combinations, but let's assume the more common. outcomes. When it comes to hook stages,
these
used to be very, very fixed. And believe it or not, this was good for the game in some way. Because if survivors wanted to sit on gens for too long and do gens too much, they had to first heal, they had to first come for the rescue. The killer had ways to make pressure.
Yep.
And sometimes you could force survivors to come to a hook, and they had to make tricky decisions. They had to play it really well. Right now, they have a lot more leeway. Generally, hook stages can very easily take 90 or sometimes even longer than that seconds. And that gives killers no real way to stop gens if they actually commit to face camping.
Yeah, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. I know people get face camped or proxy camped a lot. Like you saw that happen to me today. I was playing, it was that match against that Wesker that was using a Starstruck. He proxied somebody out at 4 gens and basically won the game off of it. It's frustrating. It's really, really frustrating. But the problem is that is not the only way that proxy camping exists. Proxy camping also exists as one of your few ways you can catch up against a sweaty team as killer. If that Wesker did that at 2 gens and we were slamming the gems out, that could be possibly the only way he is able to win the match is by forcing either a trade and Aragorn giving him a lot of pressure through hits and damage, or outright camping somebody out of the game, right? Now you just walk up and go, and that's it. And then you don't have to worry about it. You just go, throw your little thumbs up, and now they're fine. And it's like, they're slowly removing, like, there's no way to keep, like, camping out of the hands of people who use it at, like, 5 gens versus the people that do it at, like, 2, right? Then use it more as a catch-up tool than something to just kind of, like, make it a comp 3v1. But, like, regardless, it is a tool that is used to catch up in the matches, right? It's impossible to balance between malice and strategy. Yeah, it's difficult, if at all possible. But it's like, I don't know, dude. It's like, you can't take that away, especially like when you get these like swift bully squads, like, and you don't run them that often. I'm gonna look at you. You don't run them that often. But when you do, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, what are you able to do? If you run into a whole team that is bringing hyper focus, stakeout, and a toolbox, and there's like 3 of them doing it, and then they on the icing on top, they reassure the guy on hook, like, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Like, what can you do? Right? Like camping and tunneling are like one of the few things you can do to catch up in a match. And basement, you know, everybody wants basement gone, so we don't know how long basement's still gonna be in the game. That's like that's the big 3 right there. Camping, tunneling, and basement. They're the only way you can catch up against a good team as killer, because a lot of the ways survivors exceed at the game is like apart from other people, right? Like it's like you don't really have that interaction. Most of the things that are really good and sweaty about Survivor happen off screen on a gen or like a super quick heal speed, right? Like it's not like the super good chase. I had a scenario a few months ago on Oni where I had someone second stage and they got the gens really going. I hooked the person by the gen and the gen was 99. 2 people were right there, and it made no sense for me to leave that match. Leave that at that state in the match. Now they can just go up and go thumbs up, and that's it. And then, you know what? It's like that pressure goes away, right? It's like, you know, the whole game thrives on killers attacking the weak link. You don't need a bully squad to have a bad game. Yeah. You get emotes like monkey flip. Yep. So it's like you have to do these things sometimes to win, and it's unfortunate because like that's just the nature of the game. But that you can't take those tools away because then the game becomes miserable. So I don't know.
That it only takes a couple perks for this to happen, so this is fairly common. Hooks are
and like let's look at that on the Survivor side. Even in post mid chapter, shift W, pre-drop in pallets. You know, like those are things you do on the flip side. They're boring. You saw me do that earlier today. Like if we were at 1 or 2 gens, I started pre-dropping. You notice that when I'm playing Survivor and we're at 1 or 2 gens, I start pre-dropping like a mad lad, right? I'm not gonna bank on his Wi-Fi going right at that exact moment and costing us the rest of the game. I'm pre-dropping. I'm playing safe. I'm shift W away from loops. If it's 4 or 5 gens, I'll loop. I'll play normally. But if it can buy us the victory, you best believe I'm throwing that pallet before we even get here. You know, like it's the exact same thing except on the other side. But you taking things away makes it harder to win, you know? Yeah, ideally I would never like to camp or tunnel, but like I also want to win. Exactly. And when you have people that bring stuff, like all this green stuff, you're often forced into that position. So it's just, I don't know.
No longer predictable, and you can no longer latch onto that as a strategy to put pressure on survivors. So without being able to reliably slug, without being able to reliably injure, without being able to reliably camp to second stage, you as a killer need to be very good in chase right now. You need to be very, very good in chase. And how long does it take to end the chase? We don't know. It could be 5 seconds, it could be 5 minutes. It's completely up to your skill, your killer, the map, how good the survivors are, whether any perk on either side helps you. That's where the fun of the game comes. Keep chases short, maybe give something up now, maybe break a pallet now so that later the chase is shorter. That's where the fun of the game is, and that's okay. But if you look at these numbers, and let's just say that you are very good at predicting, and we only look at the numbers that survivors can do without any items that you can see and predict, you still have huge variances between the highest and the lowest. And you as a killer cannot keep up with the lowest of these times unless you're playing a really, really strong killer. And I feel like that's what this game is going to push us towards.
That's why this is why. And this is like, he's right. He's totally right. He is 100% correct. Look at the top killers right now. Look at the top killers. Look at the top 5. Mastermind, A tier. Oh, sorry. My computer did not like me bringing it up. That between screens. Anyways, look at it. Top 5 killers. Mastermind, A tier killer. Huntress, A tier. Nurse, best character in the game. Legion, they're high B, but they're easy. And then Blight. Right? So that's 4 out of 5 of the top played killers that are A tier or higher. A tier or higher. 2 of them being S tier. Right? It's already happening. It's already a thing. People are already only playing like essentially the best killers in the game, or at least A tier or higher, because what they want is to get that W, because they want to fight all this crap, right? They want to fight these extremely strong builds. They want to fight people bringing hyper-focused stakeout toolboxes. They want to be prepared. They want to be prepared for the worst. So they bring a lot of slowdown. They play the best character in the game, right? So they don't have to ever worry. Because even if they bring all that stuff, I'm already playing Nurse, so at least I have a better chance. I'm more predisposed to the victory either way. He's a stack slowdown on too. Yep. The reason Legion's so popular is A, because he's easy, and B, he synergizes really well with a lot of slowdown, especially before Thana got nerfed. Like he synergizes well with a lot of the slowdown in the game. So he's easy, and he's easy to synergize with slowdown. So yeah. So like people are already doing this. This is already a thing. People already are going, well, I can just circumvent the BS builds by just playing the best characters all the time. And that way I'm not losing that much, because at least I'm running the best character all the time. So I don't even need to have necessarily the best build, right? Playing weaker killers is quite literally discouraged by the player base. You get bullied for playing Myers or Billy. You're supposed to just deal with it. Of course, as people will move on to strong. Yeah, exactly. Like when I play Billy, we get so many gamers 3-dropping at 5 gens, shift W gaming, don't want to deal with me at all. They don't want to touch me. They don't interact with me. Supposedly the most fun killer to fight in the game. Don't want to touch me. Don't interact with me. And it gets demoralizing, right? We played Billy for like 2.5, 3 hours straight last night when we were playing killer. and by the end, I was like M1ing and proxy camping. I bled somebody out on the floor who comp cornered. There was a degradation between I'm having fun, because I was running no slowdown, between like I'm having fun, I'm just gonna go for chainsaws, to like actively playing really intensely, and some people would consider rudely, because people were just like really on me for playing this character. They were like, I don't care. Like, get gen rushed, idiot. get gen slammed. Who cares? Get pre-drop, moron. It's your fault for playing Billy, you know? So like, I don't care. Like, I'll just play harder and eventually switch characters, right? But like there is that threshold of like eventually I will just like, not me, but like a person in the same stance would be like, I'm not gonna play Billy anymore. Every time I play him, like I only like 1 out of like 10 games I get people are like, oh, you're playing him, this is a fun match. Every 9 out of 10 is like, oh well, I'm getting pooped on. Let's see who's at the bottom with this like argument here. Let's see. This is Twins Hagen and look, there's Hillbilly bottom 5. Hillbilly bottom 5. Important, really. Well, that's because of availability. That's not because that's a little bit artificially though, because he's literally not available anymore. Like think of like Freddy. I think Freddy's the perfect example. Nobody plays Freddy anymore. He's not good, like at all. He's the most mad killer. The only thing he's going from is map mobility, right? He's almost like Sadako in that fact that he's like, you know, he's so painfully average, you know? Like nobody wants to be stomped on with, you know, who's gonna play Freddy without like 4 slowdown in the middle of like hyper focus like stakeout meta? Like who's gonna do that? Who's gonna be like, bro, I'm a Freddy main, I'm maining Freddy, I'm never giving up. Even against these sweaty teams, they're sweaty Gen Rush builds. Like nobody's gonna be playing Freddy. Nobody's playing Fredward. Yeah, it's just like nobody's gonna realistically be playing like Freddy and Billy with the threat essentially of running into 2 or 3 people running, you know, stakeout, toolbox, hyper focus, plowing through the gens at Mach speed, because you're just, so you're there. These people are eventually going to leave and go up above average here for like Blight, Nurse, whatever, you know? So it's going to happen. It's going to happen. He is right.
Capturing multiple survivors and putting them on the hook takes too long and is too difficult and things are too unpredictable. People are just going to be playing more Starstruck Nurse than before, if that's even possible. They're going to be looking for other shortcuts. Killers don't have an add-on that allows you to just skip half your objective. I think there's no add-on like that. And if there was, it would probably be removed from the game.
But that's why camping and camping and tunneling is. That's what that is. What he's saying right here, that's why camping and tunneling exists. Because it's the only way to skip part of your objective, which is to get 3 hooks on that person to kill them. That is the only way for the killer to be able to skip part of their objective. Survivors have a lot of ways to skip objectives. Lots of ways to stack things and blow past objectives. The only thing the killer has is like slapping on slowdowns in terms of perks. That's what they can do to skip objectives. Like I said, there was that Wraith match where I had to do that gen in the middle 3 times and still didn't get it done. That is their only option. That's why you see so many people doing it. So many people doing it. Like if you stack a bunch of chase perks, like because technically that's a thing you can do, right? You can stack a bunch of chase perks and be like super efficient in chase. But even then, you're only pressuring like 1 person at a time, technically, right? So the other 3 can still be efficient and blow you out of the water, even though you're really good at this one thing. Survivors can be super efficient on the gens, be super efficient with heals, be super efficient with picking people up, which is all like stuff that contributes to victory, right? For everyone, for the whole team. The killer can be really, really efficient at like chase and then not be able to pressure the gens, which ends in the loss, right? The killer can bring a bunch of like gimmick perks like Dark Devotion and be really sneaky. Once again, still for the most part, only pressuring 1 person leads to a loss. That's why so many killers just end up running quad triple slowdown, because other than camping and tunneling, which is more of a game mechanic thing that you can do incorrectly, like that's their only like way to like circumvent parts of the game, which is why so many people crutch on it so badly. Because there's so many other ways to do that as Survivor, because so many more ways that survivors play, like the healing, the pickups, the gens, all of it eventually, you know, progresses to the ending. Like that, everything helps you win. So, whereas killer, if you hard focus on something that isn't specifically like stopping the gens, you may just lose the match outright. So.
Immediately for being too strong. That would be just wrong. And another concerning part about all of this is that it makes subtle cheaters have so much room for plausible deniability. If you see a survivor that doesn't have any items, they go near a gen and 50 seconds later that gen pops. A year ago, I would have called that guy a cheater. Nowadays, I can't possibly know it's maybe even potentially remotely possible that with some combination of perks and luck, that gen could be done 30 seconds quicker with no items. And it's becoming a little bit irritating, I'm not gonna lie. You have games where things happen at speeds that are just so different from each other. Your slowest gen on a solo squad that is doing really bad is so slow compared to your fastest gen on a team that has toolboxes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this discrepancy is good for the game. And furthermore, I don't know how to fix it.
I think that's one of the things that frustrates me a lot. Like when I'm playing Killer, like we got that, like Tuesday, we had a match where we literally fought a 4-man Swift. Like actually like the real deal. And we were playing Ghostface and they sent us to Garden of Joy and we got blasted. We got absolutely blasted. Like gens were flying off the shelves like that. They were selling like hotcakes, right? But then like there are also matches that I win at like the Wraith game that we played to get our daily at the beginning of that stream. We ended the game at like 5 gens because they just like for one reason or other could not get gens and all I was running was Jolt. And they couldn't get a single gen done. It's like, it's such a vastly different experience.
I think that if the game is balanced around 90-second gens, generators should stay relatively close to 90 seconds.
Yes.
They shouldn't be much higher. They shouldn't be much lower. If the game is balanced around 60-second gens, then make it them 60 seconds. I don't think the game can simultaneously be balanced for 9-second heals and 30-second heals.
Yep.
And 90-second gens and 60-second gens. These items that survivors can opt to bring every single time are making such an impact. If you have 2 medkits, which are 9-second heals, and then 2,
which are easier to get, by the way, because of the blood point overall, by the way.
2 good toolboxes, which shave off 30 seconds. This group of survivors with these 4 items is saving 2 minutes. If you put up the numbers together, assuming they use all the items, which they don't always do, but still, 2 minutes worth of efficiency time compared to the next lobby that has 0 items. Why should survivors not bring these items every single game? Why shouldn't they?
When the mid chapter dropped, when Thana got its flat buff, where it was just like you didn't have to get all 4 to get strength, and you just had stronger Thana for every single person injured, and everybody had switched over to the new meta, and everybody was running like the first time, like the mid chapter dropped, and everybody was running 4 slowdown. It was like Thana, Gift of Pain, like Pain Res, like it was awful. That was an awful time to play Survivor. That's a lot of the reason that a lot of people said that like, oh, Survivor's dead, is because like they took some of that slowdown was some of the strongest slowdown that the game has ever seen. Like not individually, but slowdowns, like the stacking of slowdowns, besides like Forever Freddy, Forever Legion, stuff like that. Like the synergy between slowdowns was so strong before they adjusted it after the mid chapter initially dropped. I brought a toolbox every game. You know that's my least favorite item in this game. I think toolboxes are silly and dumb. I brought one almost every game. Every game because of that. So he's right.
And furthermore, if they do bring them every single game, why shouldn't killers just play the strongest killers with the strongest add-ons and send themselves to the strongest maps? We are heading into a very tricky balancing territory, I'm afraid. And I think you're gonna see very sweaty killers, very sweaty survivors, and you're sometimes gonna lose games or come close to losing games.
Because here's the deal. Because you can't, he's talking about how it's going to be like a nightmare to balance, which it will be, but it's also a nightmare to play. Because like, here's the problem. Let's say you enter my game right now. So right now, I'm running Hyper Focus and Stakeout, which is pretty strong. I would say that's like A strength. If I would brought a toolbox, it'd be like S strength. This combo is pretty, like, really good. And let's say I bring this perk setup, and we blow this guy out of the water. He gets like 1 or 2 hooks, and we leave. I'm gonna feel bad, right? Because I just like brought this really strong thing, blew that guy out of the water, and punished him essentially for, like, in a sense, punished him for not running slowdowns. And I'm going to feel bad about it, right? But that guy then in turn, because he's mad about these two, he goes over to Killer and goes, stupid. This is what I get for running chase perks. Pigs are angry, right? They go, this is stupid. This is dumb, and I hate this. This is so ridiculous. I'm gonna call a Brine. I'm gonna run a call a Brine, eruption, overcharge, and where's overcharge? We're gonna call a Brine, overcharge, and then I'll run brutal. That way it's not force slowdown. They run to this. Like they immediately they switch, right? They're like, that felt like crap. I don't want to go through that anymore. That felt terrible. I don't want to deal with that anymore. So then they swap to this. So then I go against that as survivor, and then they stomp me out of the game, and I'm running like dead hard, vigil, off the record, and like kindred, right? Like no gen rushing, no anything, just like mostly chase perks for survivor. And then I feel like crap because I had like in that, like I keep bringing up, like that Wraith match, we did that gen in the center like 3 times. It was at 90% like 3 times and still didn't get done. That feels like garbage. So I go back and I go, okay, I hate killers like that. I'm done. I'm done dealing with killers, bringing 3 slowdown and having it play the game for them. And then I let these 2 perks play the game for me. It's almost like perks shouldn't play the game for either side. Period. Perks should be helpful. You know what's a nice good perk that's helpful but doesn't win the game for you? There's plenty of them. Borrowed, great altruism perk. Just extends that haste and stuff. The haste and the endurance. Body makes heals go faster when not paired with other things. It's a good altruism perk. Helps keeps your team healed up. That way their chases can last longer. Let's go another good example. Desperate's a good one. Deliverance helps you unhook yourself, so your teammate doesn't have to unhook you, especially helpful in solo queue. For the people, heal somebody instantly in a pinch. There's a lot of really great helpful perks that are like B tier, that are wonderful, that are nice, that don't play the game for you, that have like specific setups and specific plays that you have to make or conscious things you have to do to get the most value out of them, right? Deliverance, you gotta hook somebody first. For the peepo, oh, well, now I'm broken, so I gotta be careful for these 60 seconds until I'm okay again, right? Like, there are strong effects that you can get that don't play the game for you and require you yourself to make active plays. This stuff kind of just does itself. Just like how we looked on Pig, where we put up this nasty Pig build. You just kick a gen and the rest does itself, right? And with Brutal, that's in like 2 seconds. Boop. Boop, kick the gen, and now all of this happens. Just cause. This literally, the crux of this problem is not that these things are super strong. That is annoying. Trust me, that is annoying. But they're not earned. None of these are earned. These are all easy mode play the game for you perks. And that's why the game feels bad for a lot of people right now. Because kicking a gen isn't difficult. Like at all. Kicking a gen isn't hard. You just approach and press a button. Like it's not. So I had an epiphany. We worked so hard. Blood, sweat, and tears. Complaints and whining for so long to get Dead Hard removed. Because Dead Hard gave you free distance to pallets, to windows, and it took 0 effort, and it gave you so much reward. That perk was dumb in that iteration before the mid chapter, and it was the bane of almost every killer main's existence for the entirety of that perk's existence. And finally, they did something to it and made it more fair. Because having something that strong playing the game for you was one of the most frustrating aspects of the game and was like literally the boogeyman of playing killer. There are so many of the perks in this game right now that are incredibly strong that play the game for you. We have essentially what are micro dead hards throughout the entire perk roster. We have micro dead hards across the entire perk roster. because of the mid-chapter change. They're not as extreme as Dead Hard, but they're pretty close. Kick a gen and get all this value. 200%. 200%. And if I down somebody, oh, now you get Eruption. Because I kicked the gen. Cool. Go back to Survivor. Hyper focus. Hey, my great skill checks just do even better now. And if I don't feel like hitting them, I just run stakeout. If I don't feel like waiting on them, I run a toolbox. This is autopilot. This is autopilot right here. Same thing with Prove. You want to throw Prove on here? Where are you, bud? Prove's the same way. Head empty. Find other person. Head empty. Find other person. And that's it. And that's it. All these are autopilot. Really strong. Autopilot. Feel the same way about exhaustion perks? Exhaustion perks have a measurable cost or drawback, which is, you know, they're kind of timer. It's not a true timer, but it's essentially a timer because you're giving a status effect that you can't use it for a certain period of time again. These don't have that. These don't have that at all. And a lot of exhaustion perks, besides Sprint Burst, require you to do something oddly specific. Dead Hard is good timing. Lithe is find a window and don't vault it at the wrong time, that way the killer hits you through the window. Balanced is, once again, you have to find a place to drop off of and don't get hit by the killer being an idiot trying to get it to go off. Smash it, trying to get the palace on the killer and hope validation works for you. You know, like there's like a measurable cost to those that makes them. I think Dead Hard was the worst offender. Sprint Burst to a certain effect as well, but that exhaustion does help. But TLDR being that the game kind of plays itself now, and it is a removal of gameplay when you have perks that individually aren't winning the game for you, but if you can just stack a bunch, it does, you know? And I think that's what's depressing. Like I said, it's like a bunch of micro Dead Hards. Like you just bring it, and if you do put in the minimal effort, and a lot of strong stuff happens. That's what made Dead Hard so unhealthy for the game to begin with. Is you bring it, you put in minimal amount of effort, and you get so much value. If any effort, really. I mean, kicking a gen, it's literally just pressing a button. That's not really effort. And you get all three of these happening at the same time, right? To me, I think I agree with Otz in this regard, you know? It's like, oh, the video's not over. Hold on. Oops.
Games for reasons that you no longer understand. And I think that's a problem. And you guys tell me, what do you think the solution is? My best guess is have a look at the strongest killers and add-ons, bring them down to normalcy, and please take these items and make them less busted, at least by numbers. Thanks so much for watching. Please do tell me what you think. I am shooketh.
Shooketh? Yeah, I'm shooketh too. Yeah, 100%. So it's just like, I don't know, like you just, like you don't want the, I agree with him in a balance perspective, but also like just like a fun and quality perspective. You don't want the game going in this direction that the game kind of plays itself, and you don't have to think. Like that's really gonna like stifle what makes the game fun. Is having it to where the game just kind of does happen. You just bring the right perks and you just don't have to think anymore. Like that's not good. Is that'll what that does? That creates a sandwich effect. What that does is that creates a sandwich effect because the people who are new to the game are gonna get shit on by all this stuff and be like, this game's not fun. There's a lot of fun to be had in this game, but they won't see that because they're being dunked on by this powerful stuff. And the people at the top who have been playing for a long time are going to get exhausted and burn out because they're tired of having their skill negated by perks. So all you're gonna have left is this little middle zone of people that like haven't gotten tired of it yet. And you can't, that's not a long-term sustainable model there, to have both your new players and your old players both annoyed at the same time because of this, you know?